Welcome to New York's Divine Channel. You can have it all. Our TV show today is on an anxiety release, and we are going to do one today. An anxiety release is really close and near and dear to my heart because for a long period of time in my life, I suffered greatly from severe anxiety and depression. And the crazy thing about that is it never even started until I was in my early 40s. So prior to that, and now you're thinking, how old is she? Prior to that, I had never understood how people could feel the depths of pain in their heart, mind, body, or soul that they would want to kill themselves or that they would do it. I never understood it. I had a psychology degree, so I had all the training and I had to do a very big project and dissertation almost, so to speak, on the topic of self-injurious behavior. So I had all of the clinical training, the background, but unless you live it yourself, you don't truly understand it at all. And so, for those of you who are tuning in today and watching, I want you to know that I see you, I hear you, I feel you if you have been going through this, or if you know somebody else who is going through it now or in the past. Okay. Some of you are here today because you want relief for yourself, and others are here for relief for a family member or a friend or a coworker or a client or all of the above, right? It's a big thing going on in the world right now. I think that's the biggest pandemic, I think, is people going through severe anxiety and depression. I think that's the bigger pandemic out of everything going on in the world right now. And today we're going to be going through and doing a nice little mini NLP session to release anxiety. First, though, I want to set it up correctly as to helping you to understand a little bit more about anxiety. And some of you are like, oh, sister, I don't need to have any understanding. I got it, full swing. However, others are tuning in to help family and friends. So the first thing I'm going to say is that it can come out of nowhere and it can be shocking. So for me personally, after I lost my sister at a very young age, which now that was 20 years ago, things started spiraling. There was more problems in the family because my parents lost their daughter, my brother lost his sister, and I lost my sister, and she was the glue in our family. She liked to have the holiday parties at her house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and she was a great cook. Now, I liked having them too, but she just loved it so much. I wanted to let her have that joy. I had to pick up and do it after she was gone. And it wasn't the same without her, as you could imagine. I remember her calling me up and saying, Camille, can you come to the hospital? And that alone was scary because she always was very private. And she said, Mom is driving me to the hospital right now. And she was going to a very intensive hospital in Buffalo, New York, Roswell, if some of you know it. And that's a cancer institute. And I was really freaked out that she was on her way to Roswell because we didn't know anything about any kind of situations. And within 24 hours, I was holding her hand as she took her last breath. And when I arrived there a few hours later, I think I might have arrived there even within 1 hour. I had to get my 2-year-old, my son was 2 at the time, and get him all packed up and ready to be taken care of. I was breastfeeding at the time, so we had to get the frozen milk that I was breast pumping out and get ready to go. And it was a big deal to know that I was in my heart. I had a feeling I was going to be there for a while. And when I got there, she was already unconscious. And I didn't get to talk to her in conscious, but I sure did in the unconscious and in her subconscious. And that was the turning point in my life. And I would like to say that I was able to handle it well, but I wasn't. And then as things built up, I began to have fears. And I can look at it now. At the time, I didn't understand what I was going through. It was very scary because the person I knew myself as almost was missing. And I wasn't able to count on myself anymore or trust myself anymore because I wasn't always on time for things anymore. I wasn't always able to get my work done when I wanted to get it done. And I started seeing a breakdown in whom I had become as a very successful woman, a wife, and a mother. And shortly thereafter, I ended up divorced. My son was very sick. A lot of things tumbled. And I lost my faith in God. So I share that with you because I want to speak to your soul today. If there's anything going on in your life that has caused you to feel like, you know what, life isn't going the way that I thought it was going to go, or that I don't think it's going the way it should be going. I should be in a better place right now in my life. I should have more success under my belt with my career or my business. My debt should be paid off by now, or I should be a homeowner by now, or I should be making smarter financial decisions. Why am I upside down in my car? And if I want to sell it, I won't get as much as I owe for it. And, we start judging ourselves on various different topics. So we end up creating this laundry list of things that are not going well in our life. And when we did the show a few weeks ago, we did a depression release. And many of you were with me for that show. And you created the list on the left side of all the things that are upsetting you and not going right in your life. And then on the right side, we had you create a list of all the things that are working for you in your life. And I had asked you to bring that list with you today. For those of you who are tuning in for this, I've said it's almost like a second part to the depression release, even though today the topic is an anxiety release, because they're very closely related to each other. Okay. So if you have that list with you, please bring it out. If not, just get a paper and a pen out and just start jotting down a list of a few things. Jot down a list of the things on the left side of your column of your paper that are upsetting you, or maybe that they're bringing you fear or anxiety. And then on the right side, put the list of things that are supporting you, the things that are bringing you peace of mind, the things that are making you feel good about yourself, and have that on the right side. This way, you have what I call a profit and loss statement almost about your life. And once you've got that, we're going to be working with that with our NLP session today. Now, let me give you a very short synopsis, because this is a mini session today and it's also a short show. It's only an hour, and sometimes we go over a little bit longer in our free interactive time together with coaching and channeling and conversations and readings and healings. So if you stay for the whole hour, you will end up being able to go off the recorder and hang out together and really get some problem solving figured out. So buckle up your seatbelt if you have one. If you don't have one on, put it on, because we're going to get down and dirty today. All right. Now, one thing I want to mention is the things that I used to get out of the anxiety and depression. And I have not suffered from any episodes of it at all for 6 years now. And I'm very proud to say that, because it was a lot of work, because I had 7 years prior to that of very tough, difficult time of handling it. And I was searching and looking for answers and trying to problem solve, because again, I said I didn't ever experience it up until it hit me. And I was told by one of the healers that I worked with that it was an insidious injury, which means multiple things happening over a period of time, like crisis, tragedies, and then they just all pile up and cause one big injury that causes like a nervous breakdown. And some of you are like, oh yeah, been there, done that. I've already had one or two of those. And I think I had 3 or 4 of them, potentially smaller ones, probably enough to say one a year during that 7-year span. And it was the worst time of my life. And as a result, the best time of my life. So I know that sounds crazy to say. During that time, I could never say it would be the best time of my life, but now I can, because I had to get tough and get strong and thoroughly become self-aware with myself, really truly understand myself. And then I had to find skills, self-care skills. I had to form them, and I had to create the habits of using them daily. And I realized that it was the gift, because now I'm capable of going through many things that, had they happened back during that 7-year span, oh, that would have buried me. And so with the coping skills, now when I even see a slight little bit of it starting to maybe happen, where I'm like, oh, I recognize these feelings, I immediately pull out my self-care tools and begin using my favorite ones. And I'm going to share those with you today. Number one, my favorite one, is using my psychic medium gifts and abilities. And those are tools that are God-given. However, you do have to mindfully choose to use them, and you do have to sharpen them and practice and tap in and attune them, and keep them sharpened and attuned on a regular basis. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So what I began to do is form different types of ways to be really truthful with myself, that I had to check in daily with divine and sit with my notebook, my journal, and do my own readings and healings for myself. And I channeled in a whole script of how to do it. And many of you already have it. So many of you have already taken my psychic medium development 3-day workshop. And in that has my 15-year proven protocol. If you haven't, please reach out to me and I will give you the link. We have a few spots left for the one that's coming up in 2 weeks, April 26th, 27th, and 28th. And then those of you who have already taken that workshop, we have many of you in the room who I know are coming to this weekend's workshop, where you are learning the automatic writing component, and you are going to get certified. You're learning how to professionally work with yourself and others. By the way, I got certified before I even knew I was going to offer it to other people. I was just trying to become good at helping myself. So I highly recommend that you become really good at helping yourself and tapping in and attuning, because that is my chief number one medicine for depression and anxiety, that works for not only me personally, but for all the people that I have trained or worked with that God has sent to me, is to teach them how to become self-aware and then tap into their gifts and abilities, and then how to do an effective reading and a healing for themselves. So that's number one. I recommend you get a daily habit going on, where you book an appointment with yourself and your spiritual counsel, all your guardian angels and guides, maybe every morning at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m., or maybe every evening at 8 p.m., whatever is going to work for you, but daily work with that. Because now that list, that 2-sided list, becomes a list for you to empower and heal yourself with, instead of the list that's burying you. And you're going to flip it around. So you're going to turn your lemons into lemonade by using your psychic medium gifts and abilities. And if you are a human being, you have them. You were born with them. However, just like our muscles in our body, if we exercise them and work with them, then they become stronger and they become easier to work with. So I highly recommend that by taking our 3-day workshops. And what we are now opening up, and it's beginning at the end of April, we are beginning our 6 and 12-month journeys, which are for practitioner protocol training and practicum. And so that is for people that want to practice their craft in a well-structured, facilitated program and be able to join other people who have already taken the training and now are practicing on each other, so that you end up getting a reading and healing done for yourself. And you also end up doing it for others, and probably up to anywhere from 2 to 4 of them in that 90-minute period of time. And so they're going to be 90-minute periods. They're going to be twice a month, and they're going to be scheduled, and they're going to be on Wednesdays, and you're going to know the schedule ahead of time so you can work yourself around it. We're also going to be having the people that are becoming certified in hypnosis from the August conference being in there to practice their hypnosis. And the people who are becoming certified in the Divine Channel NLP Life Coach modality, they will be in there practicing their Divine Channel NLP life coaching. So the cool thing is, maybe you have only taken the psychic medium development training and you're taking the certification course. And so you're in there practicing that. However, you might be put into a breakout room with somebody who also is training or has already completed the training in our academy with the Divine Channel NLP life coaching or the hypnosis. And you might end up being able to have NLP and hypnosis done while you do a psychic reading for them. So these 3 modalities will all be working with each other, all of these training practitioners, and you will have a place with like-minded people who are also training to be able to sharpen your skills. And for me, had that been offered to me back 14 years ago, it would have been a godsend. I had to pull and tug to find people who even understood what I was trying to do. And it was not easy, and come up with some kind of a barter, because my finances weren't doing so great. When you have anxiety and depression and you're not doing very well showing up for your work events. I mean, I was actually frozen on the ground in the bathroom, curled up in a ball, and couldn't get up to go to work one day. And that's when I knew I had become disabled. Okay. But guess what? I then went to work to find solutions so that I could become abled. And now we enable others to do the same thing in our academy so that you can help yourself and do it quick. You won't have to go through 7 years, because we're putting everything in our training for you. I'm putting everything in that I had to take 7 years to collect and scrap and pull and find, so that you have it on a silver platter for you. But it's still going to be work. So you have to be prepared to show up for yourself, clear your schedule. You're going to have to tell some people no so that you can be there at that appointment, and you're going to have to commit to yourself. There is no free lunch. There's no I can just sprinkle fairy dust on you. You're going to have to practice. So number 1, again, the number 1 tool is using your psychic medium gifts and abilities. Now I'm going to give you the number 2 tool that I used to heal myself, and then many others, because I've had hundreds, if not thousands now, come through my agency and my academy in order to help them with these same very things. And each and every person that we have worked with that has applied themselves, done their homework, and showed up for their classes has incredibly shifted and changed. And you will probably meet many of them today in this breakout interactive portion of our show that you can converse with. And then if you're coming to the workshop this weekend for the certification in automatic writing, you're going to be working on each other and practicing with each other. And then if you want to come next weekend for the first workshop, you'll be introduced professionally, and you'll start meeting people that are like-minded. And that, I'm going to tell you, was my second tool, finding like-minded people that wanted to tap into their spiritual gifts and abilities to help their life heal. So that's number 2 for releasing anxiety. Number 3 is the NLP and hypnosis. I prayed and prayed and asked for God, okay, there's still a missing component. I know that since I was whole and perfect and healthy before, that I can get back there again. And I had hope, and I kept being told hypnosis, hypnosis. And I was like, what? I don't understand. But I went and I found a teacher, took the class. It was definitely a challenge for me to get through it because you do have to face yourself. And it's the best thing that I did for myself. And then I got the NLP training that releases the bad programming in your mind, the programming that's not helping you anymore. And when you've gone through a series of traumas or crises, it forms new programs in your mind that weren't there before. And now they're on a revolving, ever going cycle of repeating themselves in your mind. So the programming in your mind continues to make you fearful. It continues to put you into a freeze or flight. And all of a sudden you find yourself frozen, you're not able to move, or flight, you're running, you're always in your car driving somewhere, or you're like basically canceling this and going and doing something else that won't actually help you, but you're running from yourself or running from your reality, escapism, and so on. And what this does is it helps you to be able to sit with yourself and clear that programming that's causing the freeze or flight. They actually say freeze, flight, or fornicate, believe it or not. So sometimes it ends up making you want to just go around and be with people. And different various things happen when we have that component. So what we want to do is break those programs and patterns. And the best way to break them is with the NLP. And then the best way to put a new, now once we've broken it and dismantled it, dissolved it, and made it evaporate basically, and clear and release. So I just gave you a bunch of words that end up being the word release and let go. Then you want to upload a new program or pattern into your mind to replace that. That's going to be high vibration, high frequency, and it's going to be very positive, and it's going to support you achieving your goals. Okay. And you can custom make those if you're working with a spiritual hypnotist. If you're working with someone who does divine channel hypnosis or psychic medium hypnosis or spiritual hypnosis, we can custom make a cocktail blend just for you. Now, if you're working with somebody who's doing mainstream hypnosis where they're basically just very rigid, I have had enough people say, oh, I've tried hypnosis, that didn't work for me. Well, what kind? And who were you working with? And did you have good rapport with them? Because the other thing is you do have to have good rapport. If you don't feel comfortable with the person working with you, it doesn't generally work very well. You actually have to trust them and feel that they have your best interest in mind and that they don't have an agenda, that they're going to, sometimes these people that I have run into that call themselves certain practitioner types, you can feel like the wrong energy, like it's either creepy or you think maybe they're just trying to date you or have a one night stand and they're looking at you and undressing you with their eyes, and you don't feel like you're being talked to as a respectable person that's trying to get help for yourself, right? So you really have to be cautious and be careful and make sure that you feel comfortable with whomever you're working with. And that's a big, big deal. Okay, so now we're starting to get ready that we can set ourselves up to do the NLP today. Now that I've given you the teaching points on basically the tools that you are going to be using to clear anxiety or depression. And when you feel yourself starting to begin to feel anxious, you want to be able to do your own self NLP and self hypnosis. This is why you want to get the certifications and the training, because you want to just be able to step right into it for yourself and do it for yourself. You don't want to have to run off to your healer every time, because sometimes we go through a phase when we're clearing it that it's happening every single morning. And quite frankly, no matter how awesome your hypnotist is or your psychic medium or your divine channel NLP life coach, your NLP practitioner, no matter how great they are, they might not have an appointment for you every day, and it is quite expensive. The price is there because the training and the work is permanent. Okay, so when you are having permanent work done and the training was quite an investment, and then they have to take their time and do this session for you instead of some other thing that they could be doing with their time, and their time is valuable as well. So at the end of the day, you probably aren't going to want to afford to have it done for you every day, but if you could do it for yourself every day, you'd be able to be in control of what's going on and not end up sliding or backsliding into anxiety or depression. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's begin to set ourselves up now for the NLP session, the group session. And I am going to tell those of you who are watching this video later on that you're going to want to contact me or come to another show like this and actually come in live so that you can do the interactive work with us, because we're going to do the NLP group session in the live interactive room that will not be recorded. Therefore, it gives a lot more privacy, because this first part goes out into 195 nations worldwide with cable TV and Roku and Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Hulu, and those areas. And so we want to put a nice container together for all of you who've taken your precious time live to have a little privacy and go into the unrecorded room, which we'll be shifting into in a few minutes. So those of you who want to contact me, go ahead and go to my website, CamilleConti.com. In there, you can go right to the contact us page and send us a text letting us know that you would like to have a discovery session on what program would work best for you to help you. And there are various different types of private one-on-one healing programs. And then there's awesome group training programs and group healing programs and certification courses. So please go to CamilleConti.com and check out our academy and our courses. You can also text message me if you're in the US at 716-603-1767. And then join us again, because we have an amazing show programming all set up with dates. Go ahead and look up the dates and you'll find that we've got wonderful things coming up for each and every one of you to join. And we love you guys. Take care. Go ahead and start working with your gifts and abilities and journaling daily. And then take our course so that you can really tap in and attune and get a script to basically read that's going to activate your gifts and abilities, attune and tap in. All right. Ciao for now. See you soon and have a wonderful rest of your week.